Hi, good morning, everybody. It's Mrs. Dudley, and today we're going to do our interview with Tiffany Johnson. We've got some special student guests with us today. We've got Greg and Maddie. So first we'll just go around and kind of introduce ourselves, and then we'll let Tiffany introduce us to some of her special friends before we jump into your interview questions. So thank you so much to everybody who sent in questions today. I'm Mrs. Dudley. I teach agriculture at Gamble Montessori High School, and I am sheltering in place. So instead of live classes, we're doing some interviews and kind of sharing those out today. And Greg, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, your name? My name is Gregory.
Awesome. And what grade are you in, Gregory?
11th.
Awesome. And how about you, Maddie?
My name is Madison Earls. I'm also an 11th grader.
All right, Tiffany, let's hear a little bit about you.
So, my name is Tiffany. I am a senior at the University of Cincinnati, and I'm majoring in zoology. I currently own 6 pets. And so what I do with them is, they get to meet people, and people get to learn about reptiles and learn that they're not so scary. They're usually just pretty silly and cute. I love the outdoors. I work at the zoo, so I have a lot of experience with all different kinds of animals. And I love hanging out with you guys, so I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, some of you guys might remember that she was really helpful getting us ready for our animal management and animal behavior career development events for FFA. Those were postponed, so hopefully we'll be able to try those events again next year. And so, Tiffany, why don't you show us some of the critters that you got?
I get asked a lot, what is it like to live with 6 reptiles? And so I'm going to take you guys kind of through my day-to-day. So I wake up around 7 a.m., and in the bedroom is where I keep the lizards. And so, I have one right here. This is King Louie. He is my male bearded dragon. He's definitely very interested in the camera. He is my male bearded dragon. He is one of my best friends. I love this guy. He is who I take care of first. So I wake up, I go over to his tank, make sure his light and his heat is on. And what's really funny is that what he needs every day, just like us, I go to the fridge and I get out some vegetables for him. He needs fresh veggies every day. What he gets from vegetables is the same thing we get from vegetables. We get our vitamins and our minerals, calcium and iron. Those are things that he really needs to be strong and healthy. He also needs protein. And one of the things he gets is bugs. So I live with all different kinds of bugs, from dubia roaches to superworms to hornworms to crickets. And so these right here, his absolute favorites, superworms, and he's going to try to eat these. And so, once I'm done with Louie, he goes back in his cage, he eats, he has a great day, and then I head over to the snake room. And so the snake room is my living room. I am completely surrounded by snakes all the time. It's amazing. And so the first one I go to is my oldest. His name is Morris. He is roughly 15 years old. Morris was given to me by a friend, and so I've had him for a few years now, and he's a very sweet old guy. He would never hurt a fly. What I do is I go over and I see Morris. And what's really cool about Morris is he's what's called a ghost, which is just in reference to the colors and the patterns on his skin. So he's much lighter, and he has these really cool patterns on him. And so what I do is I just go over to Morris, and I check, and I make sure he has water. He only eats once a week, so he gets a medium wrap once a week. And what that means is that right now he doesn't have to eat. So unlike Louie, he does not eat every day. Louie has to eat every day. So I check Morris, I make sure he has his humidity, I make sure he has his water. And then I go see my other animals. So the next one, my other boy, is Walter. Walter is also a ball python, just like Morris. I don't know how old Walter is. He was given to me by somebody who just couldn't take him anymore. She was moving in with her mom, and her mom was terrified of snakes. And so, of course, I said I would take him. And so Walter, you can kind of see the difference between Morris and Walter is their color. So, ball pythons originated in Africa, Central and Southern Africa. And if you were to go to Africa and look for a wild ball python, this is the color you would see. You would see this really dark brown with this like kind of black dorsal stripe going all the way down his back. So this is like the normal pattern. Walter is one of the animals, of course, they take to schools and people get to meet him, and he's very sweet. He's like Morris. They're on the same feeding schedule. They only eat once a week. And so I just check his humidity, I check his temperature, and once that's all set, I move on to the next animal. So, what's really cool about snakes is they come in all different kinds of like colors and sizes, like whether it's girth, which is like how heavy they are, or length, which is like how long they are. Baby red-tailed boa. And she is a baby boa constrictor. So it's in the name, just like the other pythons I showed you. They constrict their prey instead of like a venomous snake, which just kind of strikes and waits for it to, go. These guys constrict. And so they're very strong and they have very, very strong muscles. So this is what a red-tailed boa looks like at about a year old. And so I'll show you like a contrast. So like we all know snakes shed their skin. It is a sign that they're growing and then they're going to get bigger. And so I have a snake skin of one of the snakes I used to have who was 8 feet long. And so this is kind of where we're headed with Maya. And she'll be eventually this long. This is where the head is. And so she's going to be very long. So she's got about 3 or 4 years until she'll be that size. So I've got some time with her. Like I said, she's a year old, so I just go check, make sure she has water, heat, make sure she's well taken care of. And so that's what I do to go check all the animals and make sure they're happy. And then exercise, they're allowed to roam the house, supervised. And then I have like a box set up on the floor for the snakes to crawl and hide under. And then, of course, the bearded dragon, who's very spoiled, by the way, he just gets to run all over the house, and I just find him. He's great. But yeah, so that's the day in the life of me.
All at your house?
Yep, they all live here. So like in the living room is where all the snakes live, and then in the bedroom is where the lizards live, like the bearded dragon, the chameleon, the gecko. They live in the bedroom. My house is very warm because they all require heat. So
We didn't hear you say what you said that your snakes drink water, but we didn't hear what you said they eat.
right. So what the snakes usually eat is once a week they get fed a rat. The ball pythons get a medium-sized rat once a week, and then this little girl, she gets a rat pup, which is just a baby rat that hasn't opened its eyes yet. And she gets that once a week.
One of our questions is, why did you decide to become a zoologist?
Ooh, good question. Ooh, that is a good question. Okay, so I guess my answer to that would be I have always had a passion for animals in some way, shape, or form. I found my way, like, working with them, whether I was, like, 12 or now, 22. I've always been around them. I think animals oftentimes are misunderstood. For example, snakes, people are always very scared of them, timid about them. But like when you learn and you kind of learn like these really awesome facts and you learn how they're really not these vicious creatures who are just out to get you. And I think what I really appreciate about being, a zoologist and learning about zoology is that you get to just kind of dive into, what this animal is really made of and how do they contribute to ecosystems and why they're important and why they matter. And so it's kind of like being a spokesperson for, those who don't have a voice.
Nice. I love that. Greg, have you thought of a question that you would like to ask Miss Johnson?
How old the snake?
How old is the snake?
Yeah.
So the baby is a year old, and the first one, Morris, he is like almost 15.
About
And then Walter, I'm not sure actually. She didn't tell me how old he was, so he's definitely an adult, full grown.
that.
Where does your snake swim?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's also a good question. So they all have, like, if I'm just soaking them, they are in these little plastic tubs for a soak, and if I want them to swim, then they swim in the bathtub.
Oh.
Yep.
That's neat. Madison, do you want to ask your question?
What did you do while you were working at Cincinnati Zoo?
Yeah, so I was employed at the Cincinnati Zoo, and I was a part of the Wild Encounters team. And so basically what they do is they have their own set of animals. They have snakes and lizards and birds, flamingos, and like penguins, and they have all these different animals. And basically what that department does is we bring them to the public. So like we would have ball pythons and lizards, and we would bring armadillos, and we get trained on how to handle the animals. We get trained on how to present them to the public and how to interact with people and get them invested, into not only the Cincinnati Zoo, but wildlife as a whole. So I got a chance to see some really amazing animals and work with some really cool animals. And, when the zoo opens back up, we're going to get kangaroos, and that's going to be exciting. So that's basically what I did at the zoo, was just, get people to interact with animals, learn about handling animals, different kinds, and it's very cool. I love it a lot.
I'd like to ask you one more question, and that is, what is your favorite animal?
Ooh, that is a tough one. So is it alive today, or can it be extinct? Or both?
I think, let's do both.
Okay. So I would say my favorite extinct animal would be the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I love dinosaurs so much. I think that's why I got into like reptiles and why I like birds. And then I would say my favorite animal that still exists would have to be anything in the crocodilia family. So alligators, crocodiles, caimans. I love the big animals like that, for sure.
Nice. Greg, what's your favorite animal?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, my favorite animal is a hippo.
Yeah, nice.
What's yours, Madison?
So my favorite animals would have to be pandas and white tigers.
Ooh, very nice.
Yes, they're cute too at the same
Yeah,
time.
They're so cute.
That's awesome. There's some extra questions that I would love for you to send your responses back to us. They're kind of more in-depth questions about your training and your schooling, some of the hardest things that maybe you've had to deal with. And so I wanted to give you a little bit more time to be able to think those through. And so I'll send you the list of all the other questions that people asked. And then students, just so you guys know, if you have extra questions that pop up, Tiffany's just an email away. And so we can definitely continue to ask her questions and get help from her because she's obviously very knowledgeable about animals. And that is not something that I claim as my, forte. So I'll take care of plant questions and then I'll ask Tiffany for help with the other ones.
That sounds good.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'll see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you, Greg.